Get ready with me while I tell you about the worst teacher I've ever had in my entire life. For context, when I was 15 years old, the summer before my sophomore year, we moved across the country. And living in the United States, you don't really think about the fact that just regions of the United States have such different cultures. I was literally thrown into a place and culture that I knew zero about. Maybe it was naive of me, but I didn't think I would have to do research on cultural norms. So about 3 or 4 days after we move, it's the first day of school. Looking at my schedule, I see that I'm in chemistry and not honors chemistry, which I thought was weird because at my old school, I had just taken honors biology. But I was like, you know what, maybe they don't have honors chemistry here, maybe there was a mix-up. There's a multitude of reasons that could be why. And when I get to that class time, I go up to the teacher right at the beginning of class and I say, oh, excuse me, I think I might have gotten put in the wrong class. She looks at me, gives me this nasty old look, and tells me to go sit my bottom down. A couple minutes later, she's going through attendance and she calls out the name Ella. My name is L.E. Nobody else had raised their hand to say that was them, so I was like, you know what, maybe she misread it, maybe she accidentally mispronounced it. So I raise my hand and I say, well, my name's L.E. She goes, okay, L.E. And her delivery was just so rude. My name is my name. I wasn't even asking to go by something else. My name is L.E. and she said Ella. I wasn't gonna sit there the whole semester and let her call me the wrong name. So that was bad experience number 2. Then she passed out these forms that she wanted us to fill out that had information about us and emergency contacts. We had to have an emergency contact that wasn't your parents, that lived in like a 10-mile radius. Now the problem with that is that I just moved here. I don't know anyone. Taking a minute to think about it because I didn't have anyone to put down pointedly in my direction was like, you need to be working on these forms. So I move on to the rest of the sheet, and one of the questions on there asks for your address. Bearing in mind that I had just entered this state like 4 days ago, I wanted to open Google Maps and just double check my address because there were a lot of numbers in it and I didn't want to put them in the wrong order. I pulled out my phone really quickly, opened up Google Maps, and double checked the spelling of my address. This woman gives me the nastiest look I've ever seen in my life and says, phones need to be put away. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I was just checked. And she cuts me off and she goes, no, phones need to be put away. And so I said, okay. And she looks at me and she glares at me. She says, okay, what? I was so confused. Okay, I'll put it away. Rolled her eyes at me and went back to the front of the class. Anytime she looked at me for the rest of the class, it was the nastiest look you have ever seen. As soon as I got home, I burst into tears and told my mom what happened. And while we were talking, we realized that she was expecting me to say, okay, ma'am, or yes, ma'am. But I come from a very different culture where the word ma'am is seen as derogatory and rude, versus where I live now, if you don't say yes, ma'am, people think you're a rude-ass child. And I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm not a rude person. But I was quite literally thrown into a context and culture that I knew nothing about. And so instead of taking the time to think that, hey, maybe she's new, maybe she needs help with something, she took it as, oh, this girl is rude. And I didn't mean to be rude. I really, truly didn't. I didn't know any better. So my mom and I called the counselor's office and we told them about what happened, and they were very apologetic. And along with that, we also found out that I was supposed to be in honors chemistry anyway, and this was the on-level class. So they switched my schedule and I never had to go back and see that woman ever again. I just think it's an important lesson that your cultural norms are not the norms everybody else is used to. She knew nothing about me and she knew nothing about my life, but she assumed that I was rude because I didn't say yes, ma'am. Literally never ever in my life ever heard saying yes, ma'am as a form of genuine politeness. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope everybody has a marvelous day. Love you.